Ladies and gentlemen, we are tuned in to the Rico Report. I really don't know what to tell you. That game was insane. Welcome to the Big Squad. Shout out to the Big Squad. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Big Squad. Welcome on a very special evening to the Rico Report. We are here. He is our team. This is the Buffalo Fanatics. Bing, 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 bing. Ladies and gentlemen, it is your boy Rico back at it again with the Buffalo Fanatics. This is the Rico Report. I'm joined by my guy, my guest, Mitchell Broder. What's going on, Mitch?
I'm doing good, man. Happy to be here.
Listen, we've got quite a few things to cover today. Now, we in pre-production meeting, if you will, we spoke about the things that we're going to talk on, and we touched on it. And just to let you viewers know, we shared we shared what the broad topic that we're going to touch on, but we didn't share each other's individual thoughts. So it's going to be quite interesting to see whether we agree with one another or we disagree, and how we can kind of make that work. So before we even get started, Mitch, I need you to explain to the people who you are, what you're about, how you're contributing to the Buffalo Fanatics, and I'm going to give you the floor, my guy.
Absolutely. So you can follow me at Twitter, obviously in the corner at Mitchell_Broder. I've been right on the BF website for, I think now 2 years. And now just recently I've been co-hosting the 585 report with my man, Ryan Sullivan. So we're getting, really grinding at that, trying to get that as good as we can. And it's about it for me, man.
Good. And listen, man, if you guys haven't tuned in, it's the 585 report. I want to make sure I got it right.
Yep, the 585 report. Yep.
What is the 585? People may not know.
585, that is the Rochester, New York area code, man. When you dial them on the phone, it's 585.
It's the area code for Rochester. Okay, there you go. Yeah. So, folks, before we dive into our topics, I want to give a shout out to the Bing Squad in the building. You guys know, oh shit, hold on. The Bing Squad is in the building. You guys know where it's at. Ryan, listen, I'm gonna tell folks, Mitch, this is the bell. Whenever a hot take comes about, the bell gets brought out. If we get members that are added to the Bing Squad, the bell gets brought out. So if you have a hot take, listen, feel free, say it with your chest and get
Absolutely,
it out.
Man.
Let's go. All right. So there's been some news around the league, and I'm curious. I'm curious to know how you feel about a few names that I'm going to bring up. This is off script, right? Because I want this to be authentic. I want to see what your thoughts are and how you feel these players that I'm going to bring up could fit the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to start off with, and I've already seen people commenting on that, which is great. I'm going to start off with recently not signed, not tagged, is now a free agent, and one that I'm paying close attention to in Hassan Reddick. So the Cardinals decided to say, you know what? We give a lot of money to J.J. Watt, so we don't have a use for Hassan Reddick. Do you see a play like Hassan Reddick fitting the Buffalo Bills?
I mean, I think he could. I think scheme-wise he fits. And I remember, man, when he came out of Temple, I wanted him. Like, I wanted the Bills to get him. I thought that he's athletic, he's quick, and he's got a chip on his shoulder, which I mean, I know McDermott loves. The two things about Reddick, man, where I'm not so sure about is one.
Okay, speak on it. Let's go.
Up until this year, the numbers, the production hasn't always been there. So you got that concern. Was it just kind of a 1-year contract year sort of breakout performance? And two, I saw the stat. He had 12 sacks this year, which that's which is nice. That's, I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't mind that on the line, but only 16 quarterback hits. I'm not so sure how consistent is he there. I'm not saying that I don't like him, but I'm not in love with him, I guess is where maybe I'm at.
I will say this though. Before I get into my point, I'm gonna give a shout out to my guy, the birthday boy, Money Tilt. Dave, happy birthday, my guy. He says, here to support my guys. I still think number one priority in free agency is to sign our own. Let's start off with Daryl Williams. And we're going to get into the Daryl Williams talk. Now, when I bring up the Hassan Reddicks of the world, I see, you know what I see? And most people might not see that, but I see speed. I see relentlessness to get after the quarterback. I see versatility, can put his hand in the dirt, can cover, and can move around. So the fact that you can have a linebacker / DL that runs a 4.5 40 it's not common. Something like that. So to me, if we were to even consider bringing on a Hassan Reddick, I think McDermott can find a place for him. I mean, for crying out loud, if we could find a place for the likes of Trent Murphy on this damn roster and have him collect dust, I think we can make room for a guy like Hassan Reddick. Now, the question is, how much would he cost? But that's a whole nother ballgame because we're also in an unprecedented year where offseason is not going to be the same. And I can tell you that much. So Hassan Reddick was one. So you bring up a really good point. Pressure. 12.5 sacks is one. Pressure is another. I had somebody bring up to me on Twitter, and they said something to the nature of, well, out of those 12.5 sacks, he had half of them in one game, right? And it was against the Giants. He had 5 sacks against the Giants. I get that part. But guess what? The leading sack artist that we have on our team was AJ effing Klein, a backup linebacker with 5 sacks. So you mean to tell me you wouldn't introduce a Hassan Reddick to our roster, knowing full well that we lack the pass rush? Like, Jerry Hughes has not given us more than 5 sacks. More than 6. I'll say 6 sacks. I'll be generous. He hasn't given us more than 6 sacks in the last 3-4 years. Fam.
Right.
It's time that we make a decision. So Hassan Reddick, would you be okay if we signed him, or are you like, nah, I'm gonna pass?
I mean, I would be all right with it. And also, not to mention, I mean, Giants offensive line wasn't really even that bad this year. They weren't too bad. Like, I know usually they're trash, but they were solid. So 5 sacks on them isn't like is no slouch. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, at the very least, they got to make a move. The Bills do an edge rusher. I mean, like you said, I mean, AJ Klein leading the team in sacks. You can't. That just can't be it moving forward. I mean, they got to. I mean, at the end of the day, we haven't had a double-digit sack guy since I think 14 with a cold front. I mean, it's been 6 years. Like, we got to get a menace off the edge at some point. We can't keep on rolling out these average vets year in, year out. You got to get someone that can make a difference.
Listen, we are on the same wavelength, because I'm thinking to myself, we need that difference maker, impact player, right? We have one at the cornerback position.
Yep.
We have one at the linebacker position, I suppose, in Edmonds. I still need more time, but we don't have that.
Hold on, Rico. I lost your audio. Can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Oh, you know what? It's because I tapped my mic and I muted it. Can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me? Audio out? No dice, Rico. Hold on.
There you go. I can hear you now. I got you now.
You got me now?
Yeah,
I don't know what happened there. Weird.
I don't know. Literally, your audio just cut out. But now I got you.
So what I mentioned, I don't know how long I was out for, but what I mentioned was we were speaking about the line and how changes are coming to the line, right? We have the Trent Murphys, and Hassan Reddick would make such a difference. You would do it, but you have your reservations,
right? Exactly.
So we're gonna stick to the line because our birthday boy Money Tilt mentioned DW, right? And that's Daryl Williams. Now we brought this up earlier today. Moton tagged. All right. I believe he's right tackle. Is he the right tackle?
Yeah, he's right tackle.
Yeah, he's pretty sure. Tackle for I believe the Panthers has been tagged, and his tag number is at $13 to $13.5 million. The question for you, sir, and for everybody listening right now and viewing, does that change the market for the likes of Daryl Williams? And are the Bills willing to pay?
I mean, I think it absolutely does. I think at this point, Daryl Williams is your top right tackle on the market. I mean, Moton was that guy. They signed him, and I mean, for any team that's got cap room that needs to fix their O-line, I know that Daryl Williams, he's been inconsistent throughout his career. He's had the injury, but coming off the year he did, I could see him now getting more money than what was projected at the start of the season. I agree with Bobby. I think he might walk now at this point. I don't think the Bills can afford to keep him, which kind of pains me because at the start of the offseason, I was saying he was the number one guy they had to re-sign, and I just don't see how they can now. I think he's going to get way too much money from – it could be a team like the Jags or, about to draft Lawrence first overall of the cap. It could be the Jet. I mean, I think it could be any team that's got cap, I think, is going to try to make a swing on them.
So here's I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. So
all right,
if we're trying to run it back, if we're trying to go back to the AFC Championship game, don't we try to bring back all the offensive pieces that got us there in the first place? Like Daryl Williams, why would we let him walk? Sometimes you got to pay up to make sure that your quarterbacks are protected. So how do you, I guess, debate with someone that says, no, you got to bring him back. I don't care what it costs. Bring him back. What do you say?
I mean, first of all, this draft, again, I understand we got this championship window, but this draft's loaded with tackles. So I'm cool with the Bills going tackle round one, whether that means trading up, trade back, whatever it might need, what needs to happen. I'm cool with that. And, sure, we're looking at the Saints right now, right? Like the Saints, yeah, they've had this championship window, trying to bring back all these pieces, and it hasn't really worked. And now, they got all this dead cap. They're $50 million over the cap, can't do anything. As much as you want to pay guys and you want to make a run at it, at the same time, you can't be too irresponsible, which, Brandon Beane's never been, out of control spending or whatnot. So, listen, if they can get him on a deal that works for the team, by all means, but I don't know if you can just be throwing, $13-14 million at Daryl Williams when you got other problems on the team to fix.
Hey, listen, man, you're making a valid point, and I bring this up because there are going to be some people that say, hey, guys, we've got to do whatever we can to protect Josh Allen because he's our guy and he's this, that, and the third. But what they have to remember is that we are not in the game to play with money. Money is going to be tight. We're going to have to allocate this money to where it's important. So, which then brings me this question to you. If Daryl Williams, I guess we could say we'll use the term he walks. Right. We now have to make a decision at that right tackle position. Dare you bring back Cody Ford at right tackle? I will be, and before you get in, let me let you collect yourself. All right. Because I'm looking at Cody Ford as a borderline bust. I've been saying this since his first year. I was like, I'm not too sure. And then his coming, like this year was just not great. And on top of that, they just keep moving him from left to right all over the place. Yep. He's never found a home. So are they going to officially finally say, you know what, we're going to find you a home, whether it be left guard, which I don't think his home is there, or right tackle. We originally draft you as a tackle. We're going to try you out at right tackle. I think hell no as well. I'm not a fan of Cody Ford. Now, granted, I always get blasted for this, but you got to give them time. They got to have time to develop. I totally understand that. But when you're turned off from a player and you're like, man, I don't know if you can even develop off of that stuff. But I have to digress. So if Daryl Williams walks, we may have to plug somebody there until the rookie is ready. Will the rookie be ready? Or will they say, you know what, the most experience we have is Cody Ford, so we might as well plug him in at right tackle, but then Josh Allen's going to be running for his life. What say you on Cody Ford at right tackle? What's your opinion?
All right, I'll make it quick and easy.
Let's go.
No. Listen, I'll say this. I think it was Eric Turner and Nate Geary from Eric Turner Cover One. They were doing a little breakdown to Cody Ford, and by far his best place on the line was left guard. Actually, he held his own there. He had some real good moments. But listen, we saw as a rookie, he had his moments. I'm not gonna lie. He had some okay games, but man, he had so many games where he just looked so slow out there on that island, and you just can't. You can't put your franchise quarterback at risk like that. You just can't do it. And especially, I was talking about this with Ryan on our podcast, like the Bills have had such a revolving door right tackle for so many years. I mean, just bum after bum after bum, and
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like going back to Mills, Pierce, Henderson, and Quanjo, like you can name them all.
Quanjo, my goodness.
Yes, like they've just all been horrible. Like you got to, especially now in the NFL with how many good pass rushers are out there, you got to shirt both tackles up. So Cody Ford, a right tackle, is just an absolute no siree for me, man. No shot.
No siree, Bob. Now I will say this though, you brought me back with Cyrus Quanjo. My gosh, what a terrible
pick.
Oh my goodness. Yo, we've had some doozies. We've had some doozies of awful picks. But it gets masked by it gets masked by the good picks that we've done, and it kind of took the but Cyrus Quanjo, terrible. Now our guy Tilt Money says, yo, Rico, what you're saying highlights the importance of bringing DW back. But the real question, David, Mr. Birthday Boy, is how much are you willing to pay? Because Daryl Williams is looking at Moton getting what, 13.5? Boy, and you think my market is 8 million? Price just went up. Rent went up. So now, I think I hear an echo, but price went up. So now Daryl Williams is like, hey, I'm not playing this game of like you guys are going to cheat me out. I'm not doing that. Let me go figure out what I can get. If I feel there's something important or something good here in Buffalo, maybe I'll come back. But at 8 mil, price just went up. Right. Are you in agreement with that?
I'm in agreement. Now listen, if they can bring him back, right, I think the only thing Bills fans can hope on and bank on is that because of his injury history, maybe his market isn't quite what he hopes it to be, and he ends up taking an $8-9 million deal here in Buffalo, which, that's the case, great. But he's going to want to see what he's worth out there, as he should.
As he should, and that's a fair. Tilt Money says 10 mil per year. I mean, that could be fair. He might be willing to take something like that. But are we willing to pay for something like that? But to me, if he takes that, you have no choice but to run away with it. Now we're gonna stay with Bills free agency talk. We've got to talk on Mr. Matt Milano. Mr. Matt Milano. So the reason I bring Matt Milano up is this. The market for him was, I think, if I remember correctly, 13 to 14 mil, close to $14 million. Levante David, the Bucs linebacker, previously the championship Bucs linebacker, a star in this league, just got an extension for $12.5 million. You mean to tell me that Milano is gonna ask for more than Levante David? I think not. So, same question for DW. What do you do with a guy like Matt Milano? Is he worth it to bring at 12.5 mil? Or you're like, whoa, he's not as good as Levante David. So you know what? He's gonna have to take what we give him. What's his market now?
I mean, he's gonna get paid, no question. I kind of feel like he could be one of those guys that maybe, as good as he is, and I'm a big Milano fan. I've been a big fan of him since they drafted him. He strikes me as a guy that might be getting, a contract that's a little rich, to say the least. And not to mention, me and Ryan, we've been talking about it in our pod, and it's been maybe a controversial take, but we've been saying, man, outside linebacker kind of, it might be the running back of the defense. Like that might be a position you can kind of replace, easier than a lot of people think. I'm not trying to take anything away from Milano, man. He's a great player, but especially with this draft, I mean, there's some guys that are really intriguing, and if you can get them on a cheaper deal, get the similar play style, get similar, production, we also got a quarterback you might need to be paying, some big time money coming up. I don't know if I want to be paying, 12 to 13 million for a will linebacker. That's all I'm saying.
So let me get this straight. Outside linebackers is equivalent to the running back position. You can get them anywhere.
I'm saying
I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, you're putting me. Hey, as I deserve
it,
man.
With your chest, big fella. I told you.
All I'm saying, here's what I'll say. Yeah, I'll say it then. Outside linebacker is the running back of the defense. You can find guys, if you got pieces around them that are good, you can put a lot of guys in that position to make plays.
So what you're telling me is, Milano, see you later.
If just like DW, man, if they could get him on a good deal, absolutely sign him. He's a process guy, but he's going to get paid a lot of money, and I just don't think the Bills are going to be able to pay him what he wants.
So I have something to combat that. So give me 1 second while I read Reed Levine's super chat. I appreciate you, Reed. Reed says, hot take. I'm on the bus that we cut both Mango and DW. We are going to become a talent farm type team, and we need to trust coaches to train talent. Here's the deal, Reed Levine. We are in a window of winning now. We're not in the window of let's take a chance on right guard and right tackle. You don't create two holes just for the hell of it. You have to strengthen those because right now you are in the window. The talent that we have on this team is good enough to win the whole thing. We were one game away from going to the Super Bowl. So you can't just create two holes and expect the talent and from the coaching to get this thing going. Reed Levine, I appreciate the super chat, but I disagree with you, sir. Mitch, are you with me or do you feel Mitch?
No, I agree 100%. And kind of to tie that in with the Milano talk, man, like if you're telling me the Bills are going to, spend money, I'd rather them spend the money all on that O-line than spend it on a linebacker. Like that, to me, O-line is the one position, especially with not only just the fact you got a franchise quarterback, you got a quarterback that likes to hold on to the ball longer than so many quarterbacks in the league. You cannot play around with the offensive line. You just can't.
You can't. That's not that. We don't have the luxury to play around with the offensive line. We don't have the funds, first of all, to do that, and we just don't have the luxury. So here's a super chat from my guy Jeff King, and Jeff, you always get the bell no matter what. So I got to give a shout out to my guy Jeff King. Jeff King says, "Hey, the Bills got it together. They definitely got it together, baby. Isn't that nice? When you think about it, isn't that really, really nice?" I feel like this is a lyric. Just the Bills and Mel Buffalo. My first, my last, my everything. Barry Pierre White. Now I got it. I knew it. I knew it sounded familiar. Great show, guys. I appreciate you, Jeff King. Jeff King is he's like a music connoisseur. I swear. He knew TLC. I was like, what? Jeff King with TLC? And now he just gave me Barry White. I appreciate you, Jeff King. Yo, you're a real one. You're a real one. Now, I got to get back to your Milano talk because you're saying he's going to ask for too much money, which is going to allow us to say, you know what, sayonara. On the flip side, I think he's not going to be able to ask for so much money. He's going to notice that, hold on a second, Levante David on a team that won the damn Super Bowl that everybody knows is the shit, just got 12 mil. I'm going to get lowballed. So the real question is, am I going to get lowballed by these other teams, or do I go back to the team that I know, that I'm familiar with, that I'm going into my, I believe, fourth year? Is it going to his fourth year or fifth year? I can't remember. Fifth year. So it comes to the point where, like, I might just take this money, maybe on a 1-year deal, come back on a 1-year deal, or how Bean kind of spreads out these deals, and then maybe try again next year. But the Bills may not want to play that game. Hey, either you sign for us long term, or you can walk. The question is, are you going to get the money you think you deserve when you walk? So do you take the money? What do you think he does? Does he take the money elsewhere, or does he come back and take a little less, but at least you're going to be on a team that is ascending?
I mean, I think it comes down to what he's going to get offered from other teams. If listen, he's definitely going to go, check some things out, as again, just like Daryl Williams, as he should. He should test his market, see what he can get out there, man. But if he's not getting the money he thinks he could get, or how we, at least in the before the offseason started, what we thought he would get, I think that if the Bills are willing to offer him, let's just say 11, 12 million a year, right? And it's something like along the, some around, Levante David money, I think he might have to take that, But if a team that's got some money to spend is willing to pay him that 13, 14 million a year, I don't know how he doesn't go take that. That's kind of where I think I'm at with Milano.
See, and I'm gonna say 11 mil might be too much. Okay. I think it's 9.5 maximum. Max 9.5, maybe 10, because
10. Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, 9.5, 10, because that extra 500,000. I like you. I mean, you're one of the heartthrobs of the team. We need a little bit of eye candy for the ladies, for the ladies of Western New York. You feel me? So, absolutely. 9.5 to me is what I think Brandon Bean might be willing to give him. If they give him any more than that, then it's going to be crazy. And they definitely will not tag him, because tagging a linebacker right now is at $15.7 million. You can go kick rocks for that.
Exactly. Forget that, man.
Yeah, forget that. That is for damn sure. All right. We're going to stay on this Bills roster, because we're going to move over to an extension that happened to Micah Hyde. So, are you a big fan of this extension?
I mean, yeah. I mean, listen, Micah Hyde. I know people have been saying like, oh, like why has he had a lot of picks since his first year? I think it's for two reasons. One, I mean, no one's throwing to Micah Hyde. I believe that guy. That there's a reason why the Bills don't get burned over their top, and I think Micah Hyde, for the last 5 years, has played a huge role in that. And on top of that, too, I mean, he and Poyer, they have chemistry. They know each other like the back of their own hands, man. Like they really have some great chemistry back there. And like again, like you just said, this team was a win away from the Super Bowl, and your safeties have arguably been the strongest position in your team. Why mess with that? Why let Micah Hyde, walk maybe after this year when like right now you got a top 10 free safety in the game? Like just keep him under contract, and not to mention if they improve the pass rush, hint hint, wink wink, you might get some more interceptions in your secondary if the quarterback's got to throw it a little quicker. That's all I'm saying, man. So
Okay,
I'm fine with Micah Hyde being extended.
keep that same energy because I'm going to return a question to you.
Okay.
But before I do, I got to go and hit up my guy, Truth to Hearts. I think he has beef with you, Mitch. He says, hey,
Okay.
absolutely not. Linebackers are not the running back of the defense. If that's the case, we wouldn't have a significant drop-off when Milano was out. Oh, do you have a response to that, sir?
I'll say, I guess two things. One, and again, I'm not trying to disagree. Like, I love Milano. I'm just saying, for starters, when Milano got hurt that second time, right, when they had to put him on IR for the shoulder, I think it was. And once they got AJ Klein, kind of figured out what to do with him, there wasn't so much of a drop off. Yeah, I agree. The first few games when he was out, and I think they had like Dotson, some other guys playing, like it was concerning. They were really struggling on defense, but once they kind of got Klein, into a position for him, he hung in there. And then I think too, again, like what I'm saying with the running backs, like I'm not saying that, he's some, we can just find anybody. Like he's a great player, but what I'm saying is, you can find some other guys that can step in, fill that role, and pay him a fraction of the price when you got just so many other things on the roster to have to, give the money to. So that's where I'm kind of at. It's like, you can pay a running back if you think they're good enough, but is paying a running back always the best move? It depends who they are and how your team's structured. So
okay. So let me say this. I'm gonna agree with you. It's weird that I'm gonna agree with you because I personally don't agree that running backs are a dime a dozen. I really don't. I think running backs are freaking fantastic, and it's the engine of the freaking team. You have a goddamn good running back, you make things happen. You can't just pluck a running back and put him in. Hence our run game this year. Did you see anything great out of our run game? No. It's not a dime a dozen. Now, linebacker position, though, not that I'm comparing the two, but I'm going to defend you on this. Truth to Heart is saying we didn't have then explain the drop-off. Did we have a drop-off with Milano out? I remember last year when he was out, we were just fine. We were still a top 3 defense with Milano out. Nothing dropped off. Then this year there was a slight drop-off, if you will. But at the end of the day, Dotson filled in admirably, and then AJ Klein started balling out of control. And I wouldn't say we forgot about Milano, but at the end of the day, Milano was doing his thing. AJ Klein was doing his thing. Right. So I'm going to defend you, Mitch. I'm going to defend you.
Right, there we go.
Milano, if Milano has to walk, so be it. But if he does come back, it ain't going to be at $11 million. I'll tell you that much. It's not happening. No more than $9.5 million. That's my max. That's my cap. We keep it moving, especially because of what Levante David got. That's a big plus. Shout out to my guy Truth to Hearts on that comment. Now, we're gonna now go to Micah Hyde because you mentioned something about nobody beat him deep. That's why this, that, and the third. My free safety should have more interceptions than my strong safety. That's just my opinion. My strong safety is my in the box guy. Send him on a blitz, all that stuff. Micah Hyde has dropped off in terms of his statistics, in terms of being where the ball is supposed to be. Right, his one interception this year wasn't because he tracked it down. It was like I think it was a deflection, and it was an interception. So like I need more of a ball hawk safety. Now I'm happy as shit that we brought him back. Don't get me wrong, but I need more turnover worthy plays from my guy Micah Hyde. And I know some people might say, "Man, you tripping, man. Don't worry about that." I do worry about that because we're gonna get lit up by the likes of Pat Mahomes. It's a throwing league. We need to make these turnovers happen. But you mentioned something. Our pass rush hasn't been anything special. So my question to you was going to be, what's more important, coverage or pass rush?
I mean, there's obviously the boring answer is both, right? Like you need a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I had to put my money on one, I mean, listen, I personally lean a little bit more towards coverage, but you can't have no pass rush at the end of the day. I mean, sure, the Bills, like I know me and Ryan kind of talked about the defense. We were looking back on it in 2020. And yeah, they did get to the quarterback, top half of the league, like solid.
Yep.
But they were 8th in blitz percentage. Like they don't get pressure on the quarterback usually unless they send guys, which then puts your secondary guys and, kind of on islands. And, generally speaking, yeah, like Trey White can hold his own, Poyer, Hyde, those guys can hang in there, but you don't want to be blitzing just constantly, all game. You got to be able to just rush with 4 and force the quarterback to have to make some tough throws. So, I think if they can get some pass rush up front, it just leads to the quarterback just having to make quicker decisions and frankly worse decisions with the football. So that's kind of where I'm at, where,
Okay.
if you can get that ball out of the quarterback's hand a little sooner, while having, 7 guys, back in coverage, there just might be some more opportunities for those guys back there to make some plays on the ball. But, yeah, I agree. I mean, Micah Hyde's, his picks have gone down. Like I can't disagree with that. And like, I have wondered, like, what is the deal with that? Like this one guy who was a tall hat when he first came to this team, he's picking off guys left and right.
Okay.
So I don't disagree with you with that, but I think that it's more than just Micah Hyde for why his production as far as like picks have gone down. But that being said, the big plays that this defense gave up were short passes or, running plays. Not a lot on deep balls.
You're right. Not a lot of deep balls. I'll give you that. I will give you that. Now, to add to my question, because this is a tough question, because that's been an ongoing question for years. Which is more important? Where do coaches find more value, in pass rush or in coverage? To me, you get enough coverage, your line will get to the quarterback because your quarterback has to hold onto the ball that much longer. So if we're shoring up the back end, our line will get to them. That's why I feel, and I'm going off cuff here, we're going to get another corner that's going to lock shit down on that side. So that way we may even bring everybody back on the D line, which I doubt. But if we felt that we needed to bring those guys on, like the Addisons, the Butlers, and I think Butler's gone, by the way, the Jeffersons and all of those guys, I felt that they felt like, okay, we have enough coverage in the back end. But then we noticed that we weren't getting enough pressure. So what's going on? We're not covering the back end hard enough, or maybe we're not getting enough coverage from our linebackers. So coverage is going to be key for us this year. So I wonder what we're going to do at the cornerback spot. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. Mitch, by the way, for those that are tuned in, this is the Rico Report. I am joined by my guy, Mitch. Is it Broder or Broder? Broder, my bad. My guy, Mitchell Broder, one of our contributor writers. He's been writing for us for a couple of years now. Salute to you, and has just started his podcast, the 585 Report, doing big things. If you guys haven't had a chance to listen to it, Google it up. Apple Podcast on Apple as well, and on Google Plus. You got me saying Google Plus on Google and on Spotify. Go check them out. They're doing big things. Now, Mitch, we have a center by the name of Mitch Morse. You share the same name as the man, but I gotta ask, that $2 million pay cut that he took, a lot of people are talking about, oh, he did it for the goodness of the team. He wants guys to get signed. Do you call BS, or are you like, no, he actually really does care for this team, and it was for the betterment of the team? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I know the PR is saying he took it for the team. I have no idea. Listen, all I say is this: they restructured his deal. That's great. I'll just leave it at that. If they told him I mean, personally, I actually wanted Mitch Morse on this team. I didn't want him to cut him. I think that he is a good center, and I compared this with the Seahawks, right, when they traded Unger, right, for Jimmy Graham, and since that trade, their offensive line has been a train wreck. And I know maybe Mitch Morse isn't the best center in the league, even though he's getting kind of paid like it.
Right.
He's still a pretty good center. Like, he still is at least a rock solid center who he's got his strengths, he's got his weaknesses. So I didn't want him cut. But that being said, he definitely needed to be restructured. So whether he did it, whether the team told him you're either restructuring or you're out of here, I'll kind of like leave that behind the curtain, if you will. And
Okay.
I'm just happy that they made some cap room because they need it.
All right. So before we get to, we're going to continue off of that. Shout out to my guy, Koala Bear Khan. He says, hot take. The O-line and the DL gets stacked. 3 strike, you're out for Oliver, Knox, Devin, etc. And draft first pick DB and put Christian Wade at kick return, punt return. It's silly, but YOLO. Koala, it's silly. And that's why you even said it. It's silly, but YOLO. But you know what? You only live once, but you gotta live with some good decisions, not bad decisions. And I don't know if I could rock with that. So I'm gonna pick up my guy Jeff King comes in with a super chat. Jeff, support. I love it. He says Fournette just proved that they are not a dime a dozen. Thank you, Jeff. Running backs are not a dime a dozen. Thank you. They are a significant part of the game plan. And a mediocre back, which we had in Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, but Zach Moss is a rookie, which we have right now, proves that. You're freaking right, Jeff King. You are telling the damn truth. And I don't know about you, Mitch, but running backs are not a dime a dozen, my friend. I don't know if you feel that way, but I will fight anybody that decides to think that running backs are a dime a dozen. I guarantee you, if you look at the Adrian Petersons of the world and you look at the teams that have a freaking run game, they're solid, right? You can depend on them to kill the clock and do all those good things. But now, speaking of the O-line, and we're still on the O-line with Mitch Morse, I don't believe in Mitch Morse in his run game ability. I think he gets moved around and pushed around and doesn't get any push and might be a reason that we didn't have a lot of pushing downfield. Now, great pass blocker, solid pass blocker, and a leader amongst the men on the team. But they overpaid for my guy. They did overpay because knowing that he has concussion issues, he's maybe 1 or 2 unfortunate concussions away from maybe calling it a career. So at this point, they may have approached him and said, hey, man, you got to go or you got to take a pay cut. Now, some people want to look at it this is a restructure. No, this was a pay cut because it didn't affect his years after, right? This was this year. So they're like, now, whether that means they're gonna put him on the chopping block or not, that's a whole different ballgame. Like you said, we're gonna put that behind the curtain. I'm not gonna talk about that right now. But the fact that he took a pay cut, I'm surprised he only took $2 million. I would have took more, but I guess you got to agree to it. So $2 million does help. Question is, where do you put this $2 million? We're at $6.6 million according to Spot Rack. So we'll find out. I'm sure we're gonna make more cuts when it comes to it. So we touched on the Buffalo Bills. And we haven't even gotten to our topics, man. We're 37 minutes in. Are you ready to roll? Are you having fun, first of all?
Oh, yes, man. Let's do it, man. Let's keep it going, man. Let's keep
it rolling. Let's keep it going. All right. So I gotta, before we get into our topics, I gotta talk about one more topic, and that is Dak Prescott. Do you feel Dak Prescott was deserving of the money he got from the Dallas Cowboys? Now, before you answer that, I gotta show this to people. Dak's contract is at $75 million in the first year. Then he gets a signing bonus of $66 million. Per season, he's going to get $40 million. Per game, They broke this down. They broke his financials down. $2.5 million per game, $41,000 per minute, $694 per second that he's been playing. Is he deserving of that contract?
No.
Why?
I like Dak.
Explain yourself.
I like Dak. He's top 10 quarterback in the league, but you're telling me he's getting the same money that Watson and Mahomes are getting? I don't think he's on their level at all. I think he's top 10 in the league, but he's not top 5 elite of the elite. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't look at Dak Prescott as a guy that can just win an MVP any year, just carry a team to the Super Bowl any year. I think he's real good. I think he's a franchise quarterback. And if Dak Prescott, you can win a Super Bowl with him. But you're telling me that he's worth the same as Mahomes and Watson? I just don't know if I can believe that, man.
Wow. Okay. So everything you said, I agree with. Meaning he's really good, top 10 quarterback, in my opinion. But does he deserve the money? Yes, he does deserve the money. Of course he deserves the money. Does Jared Goff deserve the money that he got? Hell no, he doesn't deserve the money we got. Nobody said boo. What about Matthew Stafford? Got paid. Nobody said boo. What has he done with the damn Detroit Lions? Everything gets swept under the rug. Carson Wentz. The Eagles didn't want his ass no more. He got mega money. He goes to, but nobody says boo. But Dak Prescott, whoa, he gets money. Oh, he doesn't deserve it. Boy, please, man. He deserves every cent that he got. Now, is majority of the league overpaid? Hell yeah, they're overpaid. Of course they are. But that's the market. Let's go back. The Dallas Cowboys, if they don't sign Dak Prescott, what are they doing at quarterback? Are they going back to the Red Rocket? Hell no, they're not going back to the Red Rocket. Are they going back to Ben DiNucci? Ben DiNucci, man? They're not going back to the Gucci, man. Okay? So they're not high enough in the draft to get a top quarterback. So they're going to be screwed. They're tied. It was the leverage was in Dak Prescott's hands.
That's a thing, though. That's the thing. Dak, dude, at the end of the day, listen, is Dak Prescott like just face value worth the money he got? You know, I think you can leave that up for debate. But that's the thing. The Cowboys, they didn't have a choice. They had to pay any money, any dollar he wanted. They had to give it to him because they betted on him by tagging him. He got hurt. They saw what happened when they didn't have Dak. Their team sucked, so they had no choice. That's the thing. Dak had all the leverage in the world. So, yeah, obviously he could have, butchered any money he wanted out of Jerry Jones' pocket. I mean, again, good for him. He deserved to get paid at all because that was some BS that he didn't get paid last year, if you ask me. So
it was indicative because look what the Dallas Cowboys, they were not even competitive in any way at all. They are competitive and have a chance to win when Dak's in the game. Exactly. That defense, that Dallas defense was absolutely horrendous. They were terrible. You couldn't do anything. Dak was putting up numbers, he's putting up points, but the defense couldn't hold shit. So pardon me, but Dak deserves every damn cent that he got, right? If all these other bum-ass quarterbacks are getting money, like who was that bum that got Glennon? Glennon got a bag to go to the Bears. Are you kidding me? Glennon should never have gotten that money. But that's just the way the league rolls. So if these guys can get money, nobody should even be saying boo about the money that Dak Prescott got. I just want to get my point. Yeah, but sure. I'm with you. Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback, and he's got the weapons on his team. And the fact of the matter is this. He's been the light of that team. Fourth draft pick behind Tony Romo. Like, was it Tony Romo that he replaced? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, no, it was Romo. Yeah,
it was Romo. So, like, dude, this is the guy. That's your guy, man. You guys got to ride with that guy. And the team loves him. The team loves him. So you got to go with it. Shout out to Jeff King. Jeff King is, you know what? I love the fact that Jeff King is on that running back tip because he knows the deal. He says, does anybody remember Jim Brown, Barry Sanders, Eric Dickerson, Thurman Thomas? Who would have been MVP if we won against the Giants in the Super Bowl? Oh, damn, that's a good question. That's a damn good question. God damn, I don't know what to say. Mitch, what you got?
I mean, maybe, man. I mean, I will say this with running backs. So I will say I'm not maybe as high as you are on running backs, but that being said, you can't have bums, in the backfield. I'll say that. You can't have anybody. You do have to have some guys who can make something happen back there. So as much as I don't love drafting running backs high and always paying them the most money, you got to have someone back there that can, make some plays and do something, which, I mean, this year wasn't really, the case. Now, that being said, the O-line wasn't really helping things very much, but, you do got to have somebody in the backfield who can make some plays.
For sure. There's no doubt about that. And the thing is, you need someone to depend on, right? When the pass game isn't working, you run the goddamn rock. And that'll soften up the defense. Oh, shit. They're running the ball again. All right, let's tighten up the box a little bit. That sounds kind of weird when I said that, right? Tighten up the box. Anyway, let's tighten up the box a little bit and let's light them up, right? That's the way I look at it. By the way, shout out to my guy, Truth of Hearts. Truth of Hearts says he deserved it because supply and demand. That's just what it is, man. That's just what it is. And he's earned it. That boy was carrying that team, broke his damn ankle, right? And bled for that team, and he wanted his money, and y'all didn't give him his money, and then he breaks it in that year that he's like, fine, I'll play on the tag, and then that's what happens. Y'all deserve what you got, right? But it's a good deserving. I think that worked out very well for the Dallas Cowboys, and I think it's going to be good for them. And I'm not a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. That's a team I hate a lot, but I hate them less. Patriots will always be a team that I hate very much so, along with the Jets. I'm just saying. Shout out to my girl, Steph Payne. Salute to you know what? You deserve a bell because it's your first time here enjoying the content. I appreciate it, my lady. I appreciate it. And please do come back smash that like. And by the way, I'm sure you're not here for me. You're probably here for this guy right here, Mitch Broder. He's killing it today, my guy, Mitch Broder. But I appreciate you, Steph Payne. One more bell for my girl. Let's go. So here's the deal. We're going to get right into our Bills talk because I gave you some questions. God damn, there's my guy, Jeff King, showing love. Salute, Jeff King. We got you, boy. We got you. So here's the deal. Here is the deal. I gave you some questions, right? We were talking about McDermott. Can McDermott run it back? Is there pressure on Coach Sean McDermott to run it back this year? Because 13-3, we had a quarterback that was killing the game. We had a epic playoff run. First time out of the first round in a long time. Then we beat the freaking Ravens to go in. Then we go against the Chiefs and we played hard, but just weren't good enough. We got out coached and we just got played. We're one game away from the Super Bowl. Pressure now becomes high on Sean McDermott. So what are indicators? What indicates to you that he can come back, right? So my question was, I'm going to let you go.
All right.
2 things that's going to allow McDermott to try to run it back. And then we're going to talk about things, and then we're going to talk about 2 things that will hold him back. Let's go.
All right, I'll start with my first one. So the first one I wrote down here in my notes, I mean, this one might be kind of silly, but Josh Allen. The fact that you have yourself a top 5 quarterback who's an MVP caliber player, you always have a shot. I mean, look at the Packers this year. I'm not trying to take anything away from their team because they were a good team, right? They went 13-3, 1 seed of the NFC, and you can't tell me that roster didn't have some holes and that pound for pound, if you exclude the quarterback, that roster was maybe better than our roster.
Yep.
But when you have a quarterback who's playing out of his mind like an Aaron Rodgers, right, it covers so many holes. So the fact of the matter that they got themselves a quarterback that can get it done always means they have a chance. I mean, even look at the Patriots. I know they had a bunch of opt-outs or whatnot, right? But Brady, his last year there, and everyone's saying that Brady's done. Oh, he's falling down the hill. They still went 12-4, right? He leaves, completely different team. So my point is, if you got yourself that elite quarterback, you always got a chance to contend for a Super Bowl every year.
I like it. So you went with the obvious, which you said. I'll give that to you. Shout out to my guy D Hansen, says I have faith in Coach McDermott. I think we all do. So your key to McDermott's success to run it back is with Josh Allen. I'll take your point and raise your point. I'll give you my point. The way that Coach McDermott runs it back is the fact that he was able to get his offensive coordinator back. He was able to get his defensive coordinator back, both candidates for head coaching jobs. The fact that he got both his coordinators back is huge, right? Going into a year where they felt, you know what? We were 1 game away. Fellas, they get the coaching all together. Let's run it back and let's make sure that we do it the right way, right? Let's get the pieces that we need, the things that we learned from the losses, the things that we learned from this AFC Championship game, how far we've gotten, what we had to do to prepare for the Colts, what we had to do to prepare for the Ravens, and then taking on the Chiefs. This is something we haven't done in years in Buffalo. So the fact that we were able to do it together and we get to do one more time, let's fucking go. Coach McDermott brings back Leslie Frazier and Brian Dable, and you get your quarterback in Josh Allen. That's a recipe for success to bring it back. So to me, that was one point that I was going to make. That is going to be what excels and what pushes Coach Sean McDermott forward with this damn Bills team. How you feel about that one?
That was I also wrote down too, man. And not just not even just continuity in the with the coordinators. I'll take it a little step farther.
Let's go.
The fact of the matter is, right? So these kept the coordinators. How about these coaches that everyone's been loving to potentially replace Brian Dable? Ken Dorsey, Chad Hall. They didn't get poached either. They're still on the coaching staff. And on top of that, no one from that front office got taken either. So this front office knows where this team's lacking. They know where they're strong. They know where they need to fix things. The whole team's still together. All the brain trust that McDermott has and needs is all still there. That was my whole second point, was there's continuity across the board everywhere in that organization right now.
Yes.
That's so key.
I like it. So that was your second point. So
that was my second point.
Well, that's perfect. That is perfect. So you went with Josh Allen and the continuity that came back. To me, that was huge. That was my first point. I was like, that's the biggest glaring thing that stood out to me. if we're going to make a lot of times where you had an opportunity, like look at the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons go to the Super Bowl and have an epic loss to the damn Patriots. And you think, oh man, they'll be able to go back next year. Nope. We haven't talked about the Atlanta Falcons in so long since they've been in the Super Bowl. So it's just nice to have everybody come back, which is huge.
Yep.
Now, let me get to my second point, sir. I'm looking at the schedule that we had this year. We had one of the toughest schedules in the NFL, and we fared extremely well. The schedule is weaker this year, right? So to me, the fact that we were able to play all these top tier quarterbacks in the Russell Wilsons and going against the Pat Mahomes, the Colts with with old man Rivers, like we played some top quarterbacks in this game. So the fact of the matter is we're going to be playing weaker competition. I think that is going to be what allows us to have the advantage to go back to the AFC Championship. It wasn't a strong point, but it's one that is glaring enough that you're like, well, we're not playing the same guys, right? Every year is different completely, but we're bringing so much people back in terms of the front office that we should be able to run it back easily with that. So those were the 2 points, and I think that was bang on. Yeah. I like that, good sir. All right. So, but not everything is always rosy and peachy. So where do you feel that we may falter and not bring it back and run it back with Coach McDermott?
So what I got down right now in my notes, right, for my first point is killer instincts with a question mark. And all season, McDermott was so aggressive, right? Just always going for it on fourth down, never settling for field goals, not playing for field position, not, putting his trust in the defense, putting his faith in his franchise quarterback and in his best receiver in the game, right? And making things happen. And then we got to the AFC Championship and it just all went away. And then he's kicking for field goals to help the team morale or whatever his excuse was.
Right.
Not going to lie, that kind of concerned me because I'm like, man, like this is the biggest game that this team's had in almost 30 years. And we're settling for field goals down by 12 when we're at the 12-yard line or wherever, we were on the field. So I got a little concerned that McDermott reverted back to his old habits.
Ways, yes.
Right when it mattered most. I'll give him for now, I'll give him this first one because, it was his first time being a head coach in the AFC Championship game. He always talks about learning experiences. Maybe this was one for him.
Okay.
But I better not see that again.
I'm with you. I'm with you. My second point might touch on what you just talked about, but I like that a lot because a lot of the aggressive nature that he was doing, going for it on fourth down multiple times a game, we're like, what? Okay, I see you, my man. And then it just went away. It's like he got intimidated by Andy Reid. It's like Andy Reid is like Splinter, right? Nobody wants to mess with Splinter. No, Splinter, no. You feel me? Like we got to get to the point where we become Shredder. We don't give a damn. Exactly. We don't give a damn. We got to become Shredder. So at this point, I great point. I love that a lot. So my reasoning as to where we may not bring it back is the AFC East has shifted slightly, right? There's a new head coach in New York. It's not that bum Adam Gase, right? Adam Gase just stayed fumbling the game for the Jets. They just didn't believe in him at all. So like that was just a walking L. Now they got Robert Saleh. I'm not saying Robert Saleh is going to be the next end-all be-all, but he comes with new energy. He comes with guys that believe in him. And when you believe in your coach, like the Bills believe in McDermott, you play harder, right? You do something. They're in a big market. They've got some cap. They're trying to move Sam Darnold and pick up maybe a big-time quarterback in the draft. So who knows? But there's some things that the Jets can do to really up their game. They have money. They have some top picks. So they're going to be able to do some big things. So having Robert Saleh in that division is going to kind of, all right, that might be a little challenge for the Bills. Moving on. Flores has a slew of picks. He's got a young team up and coming. I don't know what's going on with Tua, where they're going to bring Tua. Are they trying to go get Deshaun Watson? Everything is an open book right now. I mean, excuse me. Nobody knows what's happening with that. So that in itself is going to be tough. And the fact that we waxed the Dolphins last year, it didn't sit well with them. So they're coming back to try to bring it back on the Bills. So then we have Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was absolutely embarrassed last year. Absolutely embarrassed. Team, I don't think he's ever had a Patriots team that bad. So the fact of the matter is this. He sees the Bills getting praised and everybody's putting us on their shoulders. He's like, all right, I tasted the L's. I didn't like it. So I'm going to make sure that I revamp my team. So there's going to be 3 teams that are gunning for McDermott. So McDermott better be ready because these boys are not playing and they're coming for him. So I'm going to drop you on the second reason as to why the Bills may not be able to run it back.
This might be nitpicky. So listen, if I get roasted for it, fair enough. But
hold on a second. Wait a minute. You said this might be controversial.
A little like nitpicking, you know?
Hold on.
This might be...
So you're about to say it with your chest right now.
Fair enough. Play it.
Yo, my man Mitch said, you know what? Fair enough. Play it. Let's go, Mitch. Bring it to him.
Listen, man. McDermott, he's done it every year. All right? Every year. There's always that 1, 2, maybe 3 guys, man, that you're watching the game and you're like, man, this guy should not be on the freaking field. And he just always takes so long to bench him, right? It's every year. You know, in 17, it was Humber and Tolbert, right? 18, you know, I was Vlad Dukas and your boy Nate Peterman, right?
Nate Peterman!
Yep, there we go. 19, bro, was Frank Gore. I think this year, bro, it was Brian Winters. I think you can make the argument, you know, it was Josh Norman a little bit, maybe Levi Wallace. Like, when you got a championship window, and I understand, like, yeah, McDermott's all about letting these young guys, you know, earn it. And that's all fine and well when you're building, you know, a team from the ground. But, like, this team's ready to win a championship. You know, we can't have these guys out here that just can't play, plain and simple. So if you got some young guys that clearly are better than what's on the field, I think you got to play them. You can't play favorites with these vets that, oh, well, you know, they're leaders. They're great in the locker room. If they suck, get them off the field. That's my opinion.
Yo, Mitch, you ain't lying. It's time. Stop bringing these. I like my veterans to play, man. Play the guys that know how to play.
Exactly.
I want to play. You sat with Dane Jackson, the guy that was making plays for you, but you refused to freaking activate his ass. But you want to play with Josh Norman. But you want to bring in Brian Winters and pay him $7 million to come on freaking play for the Bills. Are you nuts? You have Trent Murphy that you could have cut and saved money, but you had this bum collecting dust on the active list. Sir, I apologize. That was your point. I went off a little bit. Let me bring it back. But you are correct, sir. And I'm with that. So well done, sir. Well played, sir. All right. Now, this second one was a little tricky for me because I'm like, hold on a second. You mentioned Josh Allen as your first point. I mentioned Josh Allen as the reason that we may not be able to run it back.
All right.
And I'll tell you why. Hold on a second. I got to play my own banner because I got to say it with my goddamn chest as well. All right. People are not going to want to hear this, but I got to say it. Here we go. The reason that the Bills and McDermott may not be able to bring it back is because could it have been that Josh Allen had a fluke year? I'm not saying he did. I actually believe in Josh. I think he's going to be great. But we've seen guys have monster years and then they kind of disappear. The things they were doing last year aren't quite working, right? RG3 came into the game. Just you knew that this guy was going to be a star. But all of a sudden, the next year, people figured him out, right? So are they going to do more work on this offseason on working on Josh Allen? Because we all know this team doesn't move, goes nowhere without Josh Allen. And if Josh Allen has a mediocre year, it's not good enough. We need him to have these type of years. Can it be sustainable? Can he do that all the time? There's going to be some off years, but that could be one reason that we don't bring it back because it was a fluke year, right? 4,500 yards, 8 touchdowns, 1 reception for a TD, threw for 4,500 yards, and he had 37 touchdown passes. Like craziness, amazing year. But can he do it again? Because if he doesn't, where does that leave McDermott and the rest of this team? Now, I say this because it could be controversial, but it's something that could happen. So I don't want it to happen because I want my team to run it back, and I have all the confidence that they can. Now, I'm going to further that. because I wavered. Could it be because of Josh Allen? Then I'm like, hold on a second. We're also in an unprecedented year. We don't have the funds to just go out and buy who we want. So we're limited. So which goes back to your point, we're going to have to play some of these young guys. We're going to have to. So are we going to take some growing pains with playing some of these young guys? So those were the things that I put in my notes. So I'm going to talk about. And obviously there's going to be some painful cuts that we have to make. So some of these cuts that we have to make, I'm sorry, but it's just going to affect us going forward. We may not have the guys that we want to get in free agency. If we had the money, we could, especially because now that we're winning, we're putting some wins together. We're a popular destination to come, but we may not have the funds to gather everybody. And that's the way I look at it. So don't kill me, folks. I'm just putting it out there that it could be that it was a fluke year for Josh Allen, because we did not expect, I'll speak for myself, I did not expect Josh Allen to go all out like this year. This was amazing. Can he run it back, though? That's the question. So we are joined by Mitch Broder, writer for the Buffalo Fanatics, which is this brand right here. He's been doing it for a couple years for us now, doing an amazing job. Also just started his podcast, the 585 Rochester Boys. That's what you call it, the Rochester Boys. But I like it. The 585 Report. Love it. You guys are doing a fantastic job. If you guys haven't tuned in, go ahead and tune in on that. I got Tilt Money making a comment, says it is very hard to just even make it to the AFC Championship game. AFC is loaded with a lot of good established teams, I'm assuming you're saying, as well as up and coming teams, and is and has a slew of good young QBs. Listen, man, it's going to be tough. Not only and that's the AFC. I was when you mentioned the AFC East, where we have 3 teams that will be gunning for a position. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Do you have anything to add to that, Mr. Broder?
I'll say I hear you out, because I mean, even look at like Lamar Jackson, right? Like Lamar Jackson had a great, MVP year, right? And last year, like he wasn't bad by any means, but you could tell he wasn't quite, clicking like he was the year before. And I think
right.
I forgot which podcast I was listening to. It's driving me crazy. But they talked about, how maybe with Josh Allen, there might just be like a little, like a slight, natural regression next year, just because he had such a great year. Like you can't bank that is just going to automatically happen every year. I mean, you see it, especially with this offseason, right? Like if a guy, say like John Brown, ends up getting cut,
yep,
like that's a good weapon gone. And now, well, maybe you're pressing a young guy in there who's maybe not ready. You never know. So I think that's fair. I mean, at the end of the day, listen, like you said, this team goes where Josh Allen goes.
It does.
So it's going to come down to him.
It is going to come down to him. And it comes down to, and that's why I tied McDermott to it, because McDermott made a conscious decision to put pieces around Josh Allen. Good pieces. Not Andre Holmes, not Kelvin Biscuit Benjamin. You know what I'm saying? Good, solid, young pieces. So you get him an alpha dog and receiver in Stephon Diggs. You get him a rookie receiver in Gabe Davis. You get him a vet guy in John Brown. And you get him a nice slot receiver in Cole. That's a recipe for success. And the fact that all those guys are coming back, which is great. We just need the same energy from Josh, which I feel we are going to get. Right. Don't get me wrong. I don't want people thinking that I'm hating on Josh. Nothing to do with that. These are the tough questions we have to ask, because if we don't have success this year, who is it going to fall on? It's because our quarterback may not have had a good year. And that's why we may not be able to run it back. I'm just speaking facts, folks. Don't kill me. Just know that I'm just speaking on the facts of the game. So now we spoke about, now we're going to get into our other topic. By the way, for those that are tuned in for the very first time, this is the Buffalo Fanatics. This is the Rico Report. I'm joined by my guy, Mitchell Broder. And we dove into a whole bunch of football stuff, man. I love it. I hope you're having a good time, man. We're gonna keep it rolling,
man.
Let's go. Let's keep it rolling. So we talked about depth pieces. So the title, obviously, you guys saw the title of this stream was promotion. Who deserves them, right? Because we may, and it ties into the fact that we don't have the funds. We don't have the crazy funds to go out and get who we want. So we may have to actually cut to stay under the cap, and at the same time, maybe promote some of the depth pieces on our team. So I asked you to name me three depth pieces that you feel will be promoted or can be promoted this year. If you have more, by all means, share them. because I thought I could stick to 3, but I had a few more that I felt like maybe this person can get promoted. So I'm going to let you name 2. Then I'll name my 2, and then we'll go from there. Maybe we'll have the same player. We'll never know. So, Mitch, floor is yours.
All right. First guy I have down here, man, Justin Zimmer.
Ooh,
And
good one.
I think that, first of all, to be honest, man, I thought he was their best interior D lineman the entire season. As far as when he was on the field, he was just always making plays around the ball. You know, he had that almost strip against Kansas City and followed it up with that strip on Cam Newton. And on top of that, he just strikes me as such a process guy. McDermott just loves that dude.
Absolutely.
Hands down. And, with, Vernon Butler, who I'm pretty sure is probably not going to be on this team next year. And, Quinn Jefferson, I don't really know. We'll see what happens there. I could see him really having a chance to compete for real, a real role in this defense next season, because I was impressed with him. And not to mention, dude's athletic as hell. I mean, I assume everyone saw him, when on that Taron Johnson pick six against the Ravens, he was running stride for stride.
Amazing.
And the skill position players as a 290-pound D tackle. I kind of want that guy in the roster, out there, if that's what he's made of.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree with you. Okay, so great choice, by the way. Zimmer, primo choice. Who's your second player?
I mean, I kind of, talked about John Brown, so I'm going to go with Isaiah Hodgins.
Oh, okay. Talk to me.
And I know he's a totally different player, but honestly, there's no one on the roster as far as a receiver that's like him. I mean, he's got that big-time size. He's got that red zone ability. And, he's also can move the chains. I mean, he was a slot guy, I'm pretty sure, in Oregon State. And just having a year kind of sit back, learn from, some of those great vets they have with Beasley, with Diggs, which is a guy that I remember the pre-draft, he mentioned that's a guy he looks up to, is Stephon Diggs. So I just think that with Brown's future up in the air, again, I think he's got a real opportunity, and he looked good in training camp from what I remember, some of those beat reports were talking about. So I think Hodgins is just an interesting guy to kind of just keep an eye on, because he might find himself a little role in the offense.
Okay. Well, I will say this, and this is I guess an announcement to the folks. I just did a recent interview with Isaiah Hodgins. So we got a chance to speak on a lot of the things in the offseason in his rookie year and going through the draft prospect. So I really like the fact that you gave him a shout out, because we are destined to see some good things from Hodgins, man. He's going to be healthy, shoulders all healed up, and he's ready to go. He soaked up a lot of knowledge out of the guys like your Stephon Diggs, your Cole Beasleys, your John Browns. So I'm looking big time forward to seeing Isaiah Hodgins crack this roster. It was tough for him last year, and he cracked it anyway going against the likes of Duke Williams. I was pushing for that roster spot. Isaiah McKenzie pushing for that roster spot, and he made it, but he had to be placed on IR. So that's what changed everything. So this year, big things are coming for our guy, Isaiah Hodgins, and I like it. The fact that you mentioned that he was a slot receiver, he can go slot, he can go wide. He says, yo, you put me wherever you want, I'm catching that ball. I was like, okay, I see you. So yes, I love it. Justin Zimmer, Isaiah Hodgins, love it. All right, here we go. So I'll give you my 2. I think this player is going to he started coming on the end of the season last year, and lost a lot of weight, a little too much weight, mentioned by Coach McDermott, and that's AJ Epinesa. When we drafted AJ Epinesa with the second pick, I was like, okay, all right. I mean, I didn't think we were gonna do that, but it's cool. We'll grab one, because we just paid a whole bunch of money to these free agents, and then we just draft another lineman. So that told me that maybe we're not married to some of these guys on this line. So AJ Epinesa lost a lot of weight, a little too much. So I think he's going to, but he gained so much experience playing at a lighter weight, and he got leverage. So imagine him picking up another 15 pounds, 20 pounds, if that. And then back into the second year, I think he overtakes Mario Addison, right? So it'll be him and Jerry Hughes pushing on the edge. And it's Addison that's going to be coming in, out, all over the place. So to me, a promotion on its way will be AJ Epinesa. It was an easy pick, but I had to show love to AJ Epinesa. Now I'm going to give you another player that I feel that could get that promotion, and that is cornerback Dane Jackson. I mean, I think everybody is aware of Dane Jackson. When he got onto the field, he made himself known. everywhere the ball was, you saw Dane Jackson there, right? He just has an instinct. He just has a knack for being around the ball. And as a corner, that's what you want. Yeah, you may not be tight coverage, but if you're right where the ball's supposed to be, that's how they fall in your hand. And that's how we got, I think, an interception this year? Was it 2? I wasn't sure. So I think it was just 1. I'll just say 1 for now, but I don't know. For some reason, I think it was 2. But anyway, Dane Jackson gets the promotion at cornerback 2. So I think that we have a great opportunity to see him. Now, I'm not shy from saying we should draft a corner. I still think we should, but the position should be his to go in at cornerback number 2. So Dane Jackson and AJ Epinesa are my first 2. I'm going to pass it back to you on who you feel is due for promotion.
And also, real quick too, with Dane Jackson, it is worth saying. I mean, on Chris Collingsworth and Richard Sherman's podcast, I mean, Bean gave him a nice little,
you saw that
comments. He was really kind of feeling him. So like, I like that. I mean, that's definitely the pick that everyone's going for, and as should be, because I thought he should have been playing more. So my last guy is, and this is kind of a different one, and I'm kind of going out on a limb here, but I'm going to say Ike Bucker, and I'll explain myself.
You better explain yourself. I'm
I'm saying this. So I'm not saying that I think that Ike Bucker. All right,
full screen.
Clearly they like him. They've had him on the roster now for 3 years. They never seem to want to cut him. He's been on their practice squad a bunch. They've developed him, right? And he filled in for Winters when it was clear that Winters, trash ass, had to get off the field. And, he was fine. I just think with Bucker, it would not surprise me, especially in training camp, if he gets himself a handful of first-team reps and they really let him compete. I still think they absolutely need to bring in some competition at the guard position, because that was, I think, a clear weakness on that O-line last year. But they like him for whatever reason, and at the very least, he proved that he's an NFL player. He's clearly a serviceable player. He's not a liability when he's out there. He's fine, and maybe he gets better, maybe not. I don't know, but for whatever reason, they seem to like him, and I would not be surprised if McDermott, gives him some first team reps and sees that this guy can maybe win a starting job. Now, I'm not saying that's what I want to happen. I will say that, but I could kind of see that happening in July.
Very interesting. I did not see you going with Ike Bucker. Now, I had a nickname for Ike Bucker. I was calling him Ike Buns because I was not a fan of Ike Bucker. However, he did show out near the end of the season where more reps, more time at left guard, more time playing next to Deion Dawkins. When you play next to good talent, you rub off of that. You start to learn and soak in all the good stuff. So Ike Bucker deserves an opportunity to compete
exactly
at left guard, and I completely agree with you. Brian Winters was an absolute disaster. He was an absolute disaster. I cannot believe that we left him out on the field for that long. But injuries happen, and that's why we were put in that position. So I will give you. I like that. I like that pick. Before I get into mine, I got to give a shout out to my guy Jeff King. Jeff King says, "Buddy, love the show. Thanks to you and Mitch. Mitch, you see that? You brought all the people here today, man. Good for you." Says that it got to give me another outlet to donate. Patreon didn't work out. Too many inquiries about my cash flow. Be well, guys, and thank you. Jeff is a trip, man. I appreciate you, Jeff. And anytime that you do want to donate and show love, we always appreciate it. That's no doubt about it. And you know what? And the chat loves you. They love you, man. You're a general in the chat. No doubt about it. Shout out to AK Cash says Jaquan Johnson, he's been due. 2 Pro Bowlers who don't make the Pro Bowl in front of him. Okay. All right. Well, I will say this. I wanted to give 3 people, but I couldn't stand to just give 3. I had more. Now, if you have somebody on the top of your mind, by all means, go ahead and jump in afterwards. So I'm going to name another player. Now, this one's somewhat controversial, but not really. It's not controversial. I won't say it's controversial. Right. But Antonio Williams. What's that?
I said I knew you were going to. I had a feeling you were going to say Antonio, man. That's your boy.
Antonio Williams. And now let me explain why. His story is something, because you go from sharing time when you're at North Carolina, so you were never the bell cow back. Then you get signed by the Bills, then cut by the Bills. Then you went coaching. Then you're into NASCAR. Then you get called back by the Bills. And now you get to play in a game and you take the most advantage of it. 62 yards rushing off of 12 to 13 carries and 2 touchdowns. Fellas, we sometimes, and I'm guilty for it, I want all the running backs that are out there. Chris Carson, give me Chris Carson. Give me Aaron Jones. I love those guys. But sometimes we be too quick to go out and get somebody else. We already have Zach Moss, where I want him to have a second full year into this lineup. And it's funny enough because I had Zach Moss and Antonio Williams side by side. And I'm going to touch on both of them because Zach Moss, I've been already saying that he was going to take over as a starting back last year. Devin Singletary, for me, is just a nice complimentary two-back. He played a very good role, somewhat in a complimentary two-back to Frank Gore. I think the same should follow suit with Zach Moss. Zach Moss is more suited to get more carries than Devin Singletary. Now, Antonio Williams becomes now a third back that gave us a little something for us to look at. So I'm not saying that he should jump in there and be running back number 3, but he should definitely be elevated from practice squad to RB number 3. And who knows, maybe he can be a special teams guy that Tywan Jones was. I don't know that, but Antonio Williams, I'm looking forward more to see more of him. We got a taste of him against the Dolphins. Why not see a little bit more from him in the offseason? I'm looking forward to it. So that's one of the players I want to touch on, Zach Moss being another. I'll pass it back on to you if you have any other guys that you want to touch on.
Yeah, I got one more. I mean, I think I talked about it a little bit with Milano. I think Tyrell Dodson is a guy that is really, really intriguing this offseason.
I put Tyrell Dodson as well. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, I just think, listen, obviously, he had his mistakes, of course. He's a young player. He got pressed right into duty so early in the season. And not to mention, I think he was on IR his entire rookie year. I don't think he ever played, in a game. So right. I think with a full offseason, right, and potentially coming in as a guy who could compete for a starting job, depending on what happens with Milano, he's got some real instincts. Like that Miami game, when you rewatch that, he's making some plays, man. He's totally sniffing out what the offense is doing. He's got some explosion. He's not a little guy either. He's pretty big for a linebacker too. So, and once again, speaking with Bucker, like I said, that was a guy they liked. I mean, Dodson was having domestic violence charges, and they still kept him on the roster because clearly they believe in him on and off the field. So I think Tyrell Dodson's another guy that could absolutely come in, and at the very least, he should get an opportunity to, again, if Milano goes, he should get an opportunity to compete for a starting role in the defense, I think.
I'm with you, and I'm going to stay on the defense. I got one more player I'm going to put on there, and that's Bam Johnson, Daryl Johnson, the 7th round pick that we drafted just a couple years ago. Out of HBCU, the school that he went to. It's eluding me for some reason, and I just interviewed the damn man. Why am I'm freezing up here? Anyway, Bam Johnson, Daryl Johnson. I have a feeling that he's going to be a guy that we're going to see way more of. Length, his arm length is insane. I had an interview with him just recently, and I said, what are guys on your team saying about you? Who has taken you under their wing? And he's like, Jerry Hughes has been great. Mario Addison has been great. And the one thing he stood out and told me, he's like, all the time, all they keep telling me is that, man, I wish I had your frame. You have the speed, you have the size, you have the arms. Dude, you're going to put it together and you're going to be a monster. So I'm looking forward to a lot of Daryl Williams. Now, his rookie year, I don't know if you remember watching preseason, he stood out like you wouldn't believe. I loved it. And I was like, man, I want to see more of that guy. And on top of that, if you watch him on special teams, he's getting downfield and blowing dudes up. And he loves it. Dude runs I asked him, what do you run your 40 in? Because I noticed that it said that you ran it at a 4.8. He's like, no, man, I can get it at 4.6. 4.65, that's what I do. I was like, oh, snap. A lineman at 4.65? Dude, look out for the likes of Daryl Williams. By the way, that interview is coming out very shortly, so y'all need to keep your eyes out for that one because that was a very good one. But Daryl Williams, Bam Johnson, you watch out for Bam Johnson, man. We got some nice, talented players on this team, so I'm looking forward to it. So Zimmer, Daryl Johnson, Tyrell Dodson, we have some young studs on this team. So there comes a time where we have to kind of let these guys play, and this might be the year that we have no choice but to let it happen because of our cap situation. Did you have anybody else that you wanted to touch on?
That was all I had. Those are the four guys that really, because I didn't want to take on Antonio Williams. I thought about him like, nah, Rico's definitely going to talk about him. I got to give him his moment, you know.
I like that. And the fact that you picked up Tyrell Dawson, I was like, yes, I don't have to talk about it because Tyrell Dawson was on my list as well because he played quite well when he was in the game, and he's a thud. That boy can hit. So before we get out of here, I must put you through the ringer. I do a segment that's called 2 words. Are you familiar with 2 words, sir?
I'm a little familiar with it. I've heard of it.
Okay. So I'm gonna put you through it, and give you time to collect yourself.
All right.
The way it works is I give you a topic. You just give me the first 2 words that come to your mind. Now, it has to make sense, right? And if you want to elaborate on it, by all means, because it's always interesting to hear someone elaborate on the 2 words that they choose. And I'm gonna put you through the gauntlet. I'm just gonna keep ramming things off, and you just let me go. Are you ready for that, sir?
Let's do it, man.
Let's go. One moment. Here we go. We're going to put you through the ringer. Let's go. Josh Allen.
Elite quarterback.
Boom. Sean McDermott.
That allows me to. Top 10 coach, top 10 being hyphen. So we'll come to
Top 10 coach. Okay, I like it. I'm with you. Duke Williams. And let me change that. Duke Williams to tight end.
Could happen.
Okay. Deion Dawkins.
Heart and soul.
J.J. Watt.
No, thank you.
Why?
Too much money. And honestly, I know Nick Geary, he's been tweeting this a lot, and I kind of don't disagree with him. Like, listen, I'm all for bringing in, impact players, but I don't know if I'm trying to pay J.J. Watt $15.5 million a year, or you could use that money. Maybe you can get, 2-3 guys on a cheaper deal so you can come in and still give you something on defense, on offense, whatever it might be. So just signing J.J. Watt, I don't think alone makes this team any better than it was last year.
Tremaine Edmonds.
Time's ticking.
Explain yourself.
I love Tremaine Edmonds, right? And he's young, and people gotta give him time to grow. I'm an advocate for that. However, eventually the talent does have to fully develop, right? And I think right now he's a good linebacker, but we were talking about this guy being an all-pro maybe.
Bobby a trip.
We're talking about being all pro this season, and I think his injury definitely impacted him. But I'm still waiting for something more out of Edmonds, and I still think that he's a valuable member of this defense. But I'm starting to get a little bit unsure if he's truly the elite linebacker that maybe I thought he was, 2-3 years ago.
Cam Newton.
He's washed.
Oh, I disagree, sir.
I love Cam, man. I love Cam, but he can't throw the ball more than 10 yards at this point. I think his shoulder's fried, man. I love Cam, but I just don't think he's got it anymore.
Rochester.
Rochester. Not much.
Not much. You know what? I have to ask this question because a whole bunch of people like this. I think it's stupid, but when you eat your wings, is it ranch or blue cheese?
See, I'm a blue cheese guy, and I mean maybe that's because I'm from that upstate. Because Rochester, we still get a lot of that Buffalo influence. It's only an hour and a half away, so we still get. So I've always been a blue cheese guy. I've just kind of grown up with it, but I understand blue cheese is an acquired taste. It's not for everybody. So I understand the ranch lovers.
Here's why I look at it. I've been paying attention to how I eat my wings lately. I like hot wings.
Right.
But if you guys are dipping your stuff in ranch or blue cheese, that means you can't take the heat. So you're soft. That's what it comes down to. Take the hot wings without dipping it. The flavor is already on the wings. What you got to add more stuff for that? It's like taking away the heat, the flavor of the actual wing. That's just me. I'm gonna keep it moving. I got a couple more for you. I don't dip my wings. There you go. That's the way it should be, man. Don't dip wings. Here we go. I got a couple more for you, and I'm gonna try to make it a little tougher for you. All right. The Bills going to the Super Bowl. Can they do it?
Hell yes.
Okay. Signing Stephon Diggs.
Like extending him or
Yep.
like giving him more money?
The signing that we did. The signing that we gave a first-round pick for him and brought him to the team.
Oh.
Your initial thoughts on that?
Just great move.
Great move. All right. Brian Dable.
Gone soon.
Gone soon. Okay. And I'm going to give you one more. Buffalo Fanatics.
Can I give 3 words?
You can.
Bring in the heat.
Bring in the heat. That's what I'm talking about, man. Listen, I had to bring that out to you because like people don't realize that we have so much talented individuals part of this brand, and I have the honor, I guess, if you could say it. I don't like to use the word honor, but like I have the ability to bring on and showcase the talent that we have on the squad. And I thank you for coming on, Mitch Broder. Let me give you the mother effing bell. You did an excellent job today, and we should do this more often. And is anything that you need to let these people know? Next piece that's coming out, that's being written. What's the next podcast? When is it coming up? Let these people talk to these people. Let them know what's going on.
All right. So me and Ryan, we do the 5A5 report. We record those Thursday night. They drop every Saturday afternoon. So obviously, please give that a listen if you can. We'd appreciate it. And of course, give your feedback on that because we just started. So we're still trying to figure out what we want to do. So your feedback's valuable. And then a next piece, probably this Thursday, I've been doing the stadium reviews, kind of looking around other stadiums and seeing maybe what a new Bill stadium might look like, just trying to pull some interesting tidbits for that. And I just put out an article today about Tanner Gentry, as you did it, Rico. Excellent job interviewing him, and he's a cool guy for sure. So definitely give that a read if you have some time, and might do another 1 or 2 of those potentially in the future. So I'll just tweet that stuff out, and that's all I got to say.
Awesome. Well, listen, Mitch, fantastic job. We appreciate you, man. Keep grinding. We already spoke about the work that we're gonna be putting in. It's the off season, folks. I hope you guys enjoyed this show. I had a lot of fun doing it. And we hit on a lot of good topics today. And things that really some people should be talking about more. Can we bring it back with Sean McDermott? And what are the things that are going to hold him back? And we touched on both sides that could hold this team and Sean McDermott back. And we talked about also players on this team, depth players that can be promoted, that potentially can be promoted. And we hit some pretty good ones. My favorite one that you said was Justin Zimmer. Justin Zimmer is a big one that I'm looking forward to. Dane Jackson being another. And I'm looking forward to this year, man. So appreciate your time, man. I appreciate each and every one of your time. And don't go away after this. We're going to talk to you a little bit after, Mitch. So until next time, you guys have yourself a great night. It's your boy and Mitch, and we are gone. Ladies and gentlemen, we are tuned in to the Rico Report. I really don't know what to tell you. That game was insane. Welcome to the Big Squad. Shout out to the Big Squad. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Big Squad. Welcome on a very special evening to the Rico Report. We are here. He is our team. This is the Buffalo Fanatics. Bing, 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 bing.